travel tips is what I'm talking about today. Yeah, I've traveled to so many countries, and I want to share a few tips, whether you're traveling for business or for a vacation or for a visit. I just want to share these 10 tips that you need to know, especially if you're Ugandan, traveling from any other country but Ugandan. Tip number 1, you must know that 2 days is jet lag. Whether it is a 5, especially if you're traveling outside East Africa. Kenya is okay, Tanzania is okay, Rwanda is okay, but once you cross beyond that, I don't know whether it's what they call kusala mayanja, there is this whole body fatigue that you do not even know where it comes from, whether it's a 5-hour flight, like say to Dubai, you will realize that you have to take 2 days. So for whatever you're planning, just know 2 days you are off. So that is tip number 1. Tip number 2, maintain your program. For example, if you're traveling, say for business, ogenda kusubula, but you have booked for a week. But you've booked for a week. Just you need to first focus on kusubula before you do anything else. Otherwise, there is a way your programs get screwed when you travel. Like you can plan, say, I'm going to do this, but if you don't focus on that and say, let me first check on my auntie before I do anything, you realize you've lost that day. So I encourage you to maintain your program. Like have your list of to-do before you travel and stick to it. Every country I have been to, they have rice and chicken. Try to eat rice and plain chicken. If you're a fast foodie, most countries have KFC. If you do not want fast food and you want real food, like eat rice, you people. One time I traveled to Cape Town and there was this rice, and I didn't want to try their dishes because they used to serve a lot of seafoods, and seafood make me get allergies. So this time I had a friend from Tanzania and he would warn me about any type of seafood. So this time, be careful what you eat when you travel, because you might end up spoiling your entire vacation or entire business trip, anything, or your visit, and you spend like 3 days sick, yet you have like 5 days stay. So stay warned. People who like eating and testing out, be sure what you're testing won't get you sick. The third tip is, the fourth one actually, is the fourth one. Get all your travel details clear. What do I mean by this? What time is your departure time, arrival time, which gate, which airline, all those details. Like if you can cram them like your name, it will be good. Because with the hype of the vacation and the business and the feel of another country, we tend to forget. You don't remember whether it was it 20, 21, or was it 22? Was it 3rd or 4th? So you guys just get your travel details or like to the T. If you're connecting from one city to another, you have activities. Make sure you're on time and you have all your details right. Don't take those things for granted. If you can, I mean, these phones, they can give you all the details. Like you can put the things in the calendar, so they remind you, they set alarms for you and things like that. Use the technology, otherwise you will be messed up. So make sure you have all your travel details, the time of check-in, the time of check-out, the kilograms that you're required. Not all airlines have the same kgs. Some have 60 kgs, some have 40. Some say our hand luggage is 8, some say our hand luggage is 10. So you have to note all those details. Emirates wants you at the airport 3 hours before. Other airlines, they want you at the airport 2 hours before. So keep all those details right. Try to budget in the currency of that country. So when you budget that way, it makes it easy for you as a person to spend wisely, but also to stick to your plan. Because otherwise, that's why people, when they travel, then they start calling, I am stuck here, because they didn't budget well, and probably when they budgeted, when they reached the hype, you know how you see that boat cruises and you say, let me go for it, when it wasn't part of your activity. So stick to your budget, make a budget and stick to it. Yeah, which number are we? Number 6. You should have some painkillers. I know all countries have pharmacies and what, but please note that always pack some painkillers and some stomach relief medication. If you are asthmatic, you are diabetic, if you have high blood pressure, make sure you have your medicine, because you can go to another country and they really don't have your brand and they really don't have your type. But when you travel with your medication, especially painkillers, you just swallow your painkillers. I'll tell you, like 10 years ago, I was traveling from London, Heathrow, and I was coming back to Uganda. I was pregnant, 5 months, and I had this strong headache all the way from Heathrow to Kenya. And on the airline, I asked the air hostess, do you have some painkillers? And they told me, we don't have. They told me they don't have. So imagine I had that headache all through from Heathrow to Kenya Airline, and it was such a mess. I could not believe it. I was pregnant. You know, when I reached Kenya, I had a connect flight to Uganda, and in that connect flight, I got lost somehow in the process. I got lost, and I think the headache made me get asleep in the connect. So I lost the time, and then they looked for me, they couldn't find me. So some lady came screaming, there is a Ugandan chick moving to Uganda and we have seen her. She checked in, but we can't see her, simply because I didn't have Panadol. So it was such a mess. But from that time I learned I always have Panadol, even when I don't have a headache. I always have Panadol, I always have some Fragile, I always have some magnesium, I always pack my pads, even if I have been in periods. Last week I pack my pads and so many other things, but make sure you have your medication right. Tip number 7, book your hotel in advance. Book your hotel in advance. What do I mean? At least one night. Ugandans, we like gambling. If you're traveling with kids, avoid connect flights and long waits. Those people can disturb. So let me tell you, you can have a 10-year-old child and you really think they are mature until they travel. They become real babies. So if you're traveling with children, avoid connect flights, avoid flights that take long to connect, like you have waiting time of 5 hours. Those guys can even get sick at the airport. You know, they make you feel helpless and they get tired so easily. They start complaining, we are bored, we are sick, where are we going, how far are we, why aren't we reaching? So please, when you're traveling with children, avoid connect flight. At least you pay a lot of money so that you don't have the connect flight. And number 10, the last tip that I can share, I hope you're learning something, but the last tip that I can share is a bonus. Learn the local language. At least learn something in the local language where you're going. For example, like how to say hello, how are you, thank you, I love you, you know, those things help. And if you can have someone in that country that, say for example, if you're traveling to a country and you know there's a Ugandan you know in that country, it would be good to meet them. There's a way they make you feel homish. There's a way they give you a good feeling of love. You know, I'm an advocate of love. There's a way they make you feel loved. There's a way you feel like you're connected to home. And if you can take them something from home, like say matoke, or maybe you can take them guinness, or you can take them beans, like the Ugandan flavor, it would be good. It's a good gesture. Not that they are lacking, not that they cannot afford it, but once you bring someone something, like maybe nsenene, or maybe kabalagala, those things, they will really feel good. So connect to the people who are your nationality in those countries. It will really make you feel happy. And somehow Ugandans, we are very hospitable. We like people. Ugandans, we are hospitable. When you meet a Ugandan in another country, sometimes they give you free rides. Sometimes they can host you. Sometimes they can even take you to places that have cheap things. Sometimes they can, you know, that's who we are. So please don't forget, when you're in another country, don't be locked up in your hotel and your conference room and you don't check on other people. Check out who is in Texas, who is in Cape Town, who is in Joburg, who is in Maldives, who is in Nairobi. Give me the vibe. Till next time, let me sign out. My flight is leaving. Bye.